Okay, so today's project is going to be doing a drywall ceiling repair. The damage is done to this ceiling because there's the air conditioning unit, the compressor, it's called the split unit. We won't get too far into that, but the compressor is on the outside, the condenser's up inside the attic. And so what happened, and I know what happened because this is my house, finally able to get to this and show you guys how to approach this repair. So this is the problem with that, is that during the summertime you create a lot of condensation. So condensation comes out and it goes into a pan up in the attic and it drains out. Well, over a period of time the pan got plugged, so it wasn't draining out, so it came out of the pan, and it's never a good thing. It's not raining outside, so you come into your kitchen and it's leaking water out of your ceiling. So you know there's a problem, so you have to approach it. First thing to do is what's above here. It's not raining outside, it's not raining water, so we had to get up in the attic and look and find out what it is. Unplug the drain, let the water continue to drain out. To make sure that we got all the water out, I went ahead and popped 2 little holes here so to let the excess water drain out. So that was some time ago. And so now I'm going to give you first of all, you know, you're in somebody's house, doesn't matter your house or a customer's house, you're always going to cover the floor wherever you're going to be. The item here is covered so we don't scratch it, because I'm going to have my tools here that I'm going to show you guys the tools necessary that we need to get this job done. So first things first, let's go with the joint compound that we're going to use. There's 2 different types. The ones that we use at Central a lot is in 5-gallon buckets. It just comes in 5-gallon bucket, or it'll come in a little bucket like this, or it will come in a powder form like this. I'm going to use the powder form today because this is called Fast Set Light Mud. Comes in a powder, you mix it, and this happens to be 20-minute. There's 5-minute mud, there's 20-minute, there's 45-minute, there's 90-minute. And what that does is it's a faster setting mud. So I could use this joint compound here, it's ready to go. Comes just like this. You could thin it out with some water, you could use it just like this. Problem with me using this right now is that when the dry time, if I was trying to go into somebody's house and get this thing done, I want to stay there until it's done. I don't want to leave, come back 2 hours later. I could if I had to, but I really don't have to. I can make things quicker by using a 20-minute mud. So I'm going to choose to use this today. That way it'll set up in 20 minutes. Stop the video. As soon as it dries, show you how to sand it, put on the next coat, and get this job done in a little more timely manner. So again, this is just all-purpose joint compound. This is the same type, just in a powder form. I'll show you the easiest way to mix it. Now, if you're going to take, you have a bigger job and you're going to mix, you want to take some of this mud, you want to thin it out a little bit, which is a great idea. It's easier to spread. You'll use different methods here. So the amount that we're going to use here is I'm just going to use a 2-inch putty knife. I'll be able to mix it right here in my pan because I'm not using much. It's only about 4 feet or so. And so I want to use just as much as powder mud as I'm going to use at that point, because as soon as I'm done, I'm going to have to throw it away because it will get hard. As this, the regular setting joint compound, you could use as much as you need out of here, put the rest back, and you could save it for another time. So if you're going to mix a large amount of joint compound, you'll mix it in a 5-gallon bucket. You could use a paddle drill like this, and I didn't use my electric drill. Everyone by now knows what electric drill is. You're going to stick it on here and tighten it, and then you'll use this to spin and then mix up your mud inside the bucket. If you don't have a drill on you, you could use an old potato masher, they call it, and this will do the same process. You'll mix up the mud just like this inside the bucket as well. If I'm doing a little bucket like this and I have about halfway full of mud, I want to mix a little bit of water, I could use a smaller one like this just by hand. So these are the 3 types of mixing tools. Next we'll go on to the different types of tape we could use. There's a drywall paper tape, which we could use if we want, or we could use fiberglass tape. Now if you're working by yourself like I have done a lot for many years, I like to use the fiberglass tape because it's adhesive. So I can make I can prepare my spots, my patches, and I could stick my tape on there, cut to size, stick it, walk away, go do another spot, come back, and then start mudding. Whereas that's a little bit more of a process. It's absolutely doable. It's just preference. So this is not adhesive, so you'd have to apply your joint compound first, cut this to size, put it up, stick it on the mud, and then put another coat of mud on the outside of that. So those are just the two types of tapes. Another tool we're going to use, utility knife. The trowels we're going to use. This is a mud pan. You're going to need a mud pan. We're going to mix up our mud in it. And then we're going to start out with our 6-inch taping knife. Most of you guys through the construction class know what a 6-inch taping knife is. Some of you forgot. Here you go. It's a 6-inch taping knife. We're going to use this to get started. We don't need a big giant trowel to start. We're going to simply get our tape on, get our mud stuck, and then let it dry. Once it dries, we'll move on to, we could use an 8-inch trowel. We could use a 10-inch trowel. From that point, after the third coat, if we needed to really fur it out, we could use a 14-inch trowel. And that's about as wide as you're going to go for a trowel as far as that goes. So today we're going to use this for sure to start, and then we'll come back and probably hit it with the 8-inch trowel and see how that looks after that. Once that process is done and it's sanded for a second coat, then we're going to go ahead and apply our, this happens to be a hand skip trowel. You could see the different types of texture. There's an orange peel, there's a knockdown, and then there is a hand skip trowel. And so we won't need to use for an orange peel, for a knockdown, you'll need to use an air compressor and a hopper. We're not going to get into that today because we're not going to use that today. So today we're going to focus on getting our patch and run a nice little hand skip trowel to match the texture that's already exists. As far as waiting for it to dry and sanding it, two different methods. Here's a hand sander. It's a little bit larger than this one. This is a sponge sander. So we could use, today we'll probably run it over with the hand sander, and if we had to, for small jobs like this, I like just use a sponge sander so you can just get it done real quick, put it in your pocket, and be over it. So that's it. Most important thing, safety first. Another tool I'm going to need that you guys should have in your tool list. I don't need a big 6-foot ladder, 8-foot ladder. This is just a 2-foot step ladder. Will be just fine. So approaching this, what I want to do is get all of this. You can see all this that's exposed and it's loose. I'm going to get all that loose stuff off. I don't want anything protruding past the ceiling because we're going to want to get that tape on as flat as it can go, and then we're going to float over the top. So anything, if there's a hole, any kind of indentation, we can cover that with mud. But anything sticking out that's beyond the point that we want to be our finished surface, we got to get rid of that. So that will have to come out. And to use that, real quick way will be use my 1.5-inch putty knife, and then we'll go from there. So here we go. We might run into this an old tape. This might have been patched before years ago. Who knows? But we won't know until we get this all exposed and ready to go. So you kind of got the idea on that, so I'll go ahead and just stop this. I'll finish it. It's the same process all the way through, and then we'll come back for the next step.